people just felt like the fact checkers were too biased. Not necessarily even so much in what they ruled, although sometimes I think people would disagree with that. A lot of the time, it was just what types of things they chose to even go and fact check in the first place. I don't know. It's something out of 1984, one of these books where it's just like it really is a slippery slope, and it just got to a point where it's just okay. This is destroying so much trust, especially in the United States, to have this program.
Wow, he said all the words there. Destroying trust, like 1984, slippery slope. That was Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, as you probably know, on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast yesterday, discussing his decision to end the company's partnership with these third-party fact-checkers on its platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. I'm now joined by two people who worked on that fact-checking consortium. Aaron Shirachman is the executive director of PolitiFact and vice president of sales and strategy partnerships for the Poynter Institute for Media Studies. And Chris Richmond is the CEO and co-owner of Snopes. Gentlemen, good to see you. Thank you for being with us. I couldn't have scripted that. If you were writing a movie to dramatize what has actually happened here, you'd script what Mark Zuckerberg said, Aaron, on Joe Rogan, the idea that this is like 1984 and it's a slippery slope. And you folks, the fact checkers, were the ones destroying trust in social media. Social media was so trustworthy and so amazing before you all got involved, Aaron. What'd you do to it? You broke it.
It's an interesting lesson in history, and really, we are here because of the 2016 election. That's why Facebook created this program in the first place, over the objections in many cases of Mark Zuckerberg. I should point out, he did not think misinformation was a big problem on his platform at that point. It is so strange that I'm here today defending a program that the CEO of the same company said essentially is an abject failure for 8 years. It's beyond me that we've come to this point, but as I've noted, it's not a subtle decision by Zuckerberg. This is completely transparent. Fact-checking works, and it's not about censorship. It's about adding more information and more speech, not subtracting or removing speech. And I think we are the scapegoats this week, and that's okay. We're the referees sometimes, and that's part of it. But it's unbelievable that we've gotten to this point so quickly, I think.
Yeah, we in media become scapegoats for a lot of things. You after a while, you just get used to it, Chris. And I want to make a distinction. We're calling you guys fact checkers, but we are all, as journalists, supposed to be fact checkers. That is part of our job. It's only, in recent years, we've had to delineate that part of our job specifically. Chris, Mark says that the fact checkers have become, his words, politically biased, and that shifting to this community notes system will presumably crowdsource it. It becomes a fairer approach. Talk to me about that, because one's mind might say crowdsourcing should help. It does improve a lot of things in life, but sometimes it doesn't. So how should we think about this?
Well, I think taking a step back first, let's talk about how Mark Zuckerberg is saying, oh, well, the fact checkers or biased fact checkers are causing censorship. And we've already established that Facebook was one that determined when posts are taken down or not. But let's look at the most famous example of Facebook censoring content. And that was the Hunter Biden laptop story. And we say, well, it was fact checkers, right, who told Zuckerberg to limit the reach of that? No, it was the government. So Facebook complied with the government, and then the fact checkers get the blame. If Kamala Harris would have won, would he be taking any of these same actions now? No. He complied with what the government wanted then, and he's complying with what the new administration wants now. But that's not to say that there's not some good in the change that he's making. I agree that a community note system is great. It should be transparent. The problem is that Facebook has this black box system that they can do what they want and just pass off the blame. Like, we want a more transparent system. We should be pushing to community notes. But to say that you're going to remove fact checkers as part of the process, I think that's where the issue is. And I can tell you firsthand that community notes with a free community fact checking doesn't get the job done, because a large percentage of the fact checks that we're doing every day is from misinformation we see going viral on X. So community notes is a great system, but it just can't keep up with just the free community.
Right. We probably need aggregates of things. None, I think, Aaron, you would agree with, that result in censorship. I mean, censorship is something that is a. I agree with Mark. If that's what you're thinking about, that's a slippery slope. But that's not what you were thinking about. That's not what Chris was thinking about. That's not what you were thinking about. And in fact, others argue, including the analyst Matt Stoller, who says this is actually about something else. This is about business. This is about keeping Facebook from regulatory scrutiny. It's about getting Donald Trump off of Facebook or social media's back. In fact, in a post in X, Stoller notes, the better question is why a single individual has this much power over our speech commons. The further question is what Zuckerberg wants from our government. Let's be clear. These are all a result of this one guy having far too much power. But the truth is, oligarchy and democracy just cannot coexist. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I really want to caution Zuckerberg and Joel Kaplan, the former George W. Bush advisor who's kind of leading the policy arm at Facebook now, talked about mimicking what they're building after Elon Musk's X. And if anyone has been on X for the past 2.5 years, I don't think you think that's a successful platform. Their community notes program, this is, I think, a shocking stat. Only 9% of the community notes that are created are actually posted. That's because the concept is you want different people agreeing on the note. Well, guess what? In a highly polarized society, in a highly polarized world, people don't agree on a lot. And their interest is to defend themselves and their beliefs. Journalists act in a different interest, right? The interest of the truth. And even if you would say, well, journalists in the case of PolitiFact, they're acting in their interest to get paid by Facebook, well, then you would at least agree that journalists would want to be right, because if they were wrong over and over again, Facebook would say, well, we're not going to pay you. Right. So I didn't have to be an either or, and right. I think that's the politics gets in. It could have been a both. I think there are multiple solutions to this. No solution is perfect. But the reality here is, I think for people on Facebook going forward, yep. You're going to see an environment where you're not going to be able to trust what you see more so than you did yesterday. And I think that's ultimately a problem.
And Chris, this doesn't have to be an either or is an obvious thing, even as it relates to free speech. When, again, these social media bosses know full well that our free speech protections are about government imposition on free speech, not corporate impositions. But to some degree, platforms do moderate content, in many cases just to appease their advertisers or because of what we believe is socially acceptable. For instance, they restrict sexually suggestive content. Zuckerberg accepts that balancing act in some areas, prioritizing concerns about that over free speech. But in this case, on Joe Rogan's show, it's all about free speech. It's a contradiction, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I think that Zuckerberg should also consider, from a business standpoint, what happened to X when they removed all these restrictions. A large percentage of their advertisers left. So yep. This problem is worth billions of dollars to not get wrong with Zuckerberg. So I think that he, by he's trying to gain favor with the current administration, but he's missing the possibility of the downside by doing this, by removing the safeguards. And, we want it to be transparent. We don't want this black box system. So that is a step in the right direction. But you need people working full time, trying to research and find the context. Otherwise, it might not be the win that they're thinking it is for either political party, because just imagine how much easier it'll be for the media or either political party to make up lies about the other side and go, well, I don't have to worry about being fact checked now. Let's just see what this goes, as long as this helps me.
That is, in fact, the slippery slope. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for the work that you do. Thanks to your colleagues for trying to keep us as well informed as we can be. Aaron Shirachman is the executive director of PolitiFact. Chris Richmond is the CEO and co-owner of Snopes.